Alright, let's start a franchise in the great NHL 24. You know who I'm going to be. We're the same team every year. They suck. Maybe not as much last year, but I have to bring them back to prominence. Or try to. So. Also, you know we have to have the great GM pedigree. Greatest goaltender of all time. Mixed with, fused with Sammy 33. The Buffalo Sabres. Arena, Importance of success is a 3.5 stars. Could have fooled me. But that, whatever. We have money to spend. We'll see how things go. Obviously, this is going to be the team that we're going to be, much to the chagrin of Blue Fire and probably anybody else that wants to watch quality hockey. We're going to roll with the Sabres. So you got Darlene, Tage, hopefully an upcomer that stays with Buffalo, Skinner. Highly paid, so need that production. In terms of alignment, not going to mess with this at all. No reason to. You can see, though, in the East, things could be worse. I mean, we're better now. We're in 89 overall. I felt like last year's game we were one of the worst teams in the conference. I mean, ew, the Flyers are the worst. Ouch. I mean, to be fair, we're not far from it. If you look at the ratings, it's Philly as the worst, then it's Montreal, then it's a group of the 89s. So the problem is, I've always said with the playoff format, it's not the format, but just as a Sabres fan, you got to finish in the top three or get a wild card spot. So you have Boston, Tampa, and Toronto. They're pretty much locks, it feels like, for those top three. You got to find a way to break through one of those, and we're going to have to try to do that. Some really good teams. You have teams like Pittsburgh and Washington with aging superstars that are still going to be good. Upcoming team in the Devils, upcoming team in the Red Wings. We're just trying to be part of that group. The West, poor Ducks. To be fair, if I was going to be anyone other than Buffalo, it would be them. So I clearly just, oh my goodness, wow. Well, I guess things could be worse. But we're going to be Buffalo. So we're just going to go with that. Owner mode on, trades on, morale on. Of course, my favorite thing about NHL franchise is the fog of war. Firing, sure, I trust that I won't get fired. I just really hope we're not going to relocate, so that's going to be off. And this also will be off. I would like to control everything that I can control. Cap on. And hope for the best. Alright, welcome to franchise mode. You can now interview, hire, and fire your entire coaching staff. Coaches have multiple effects across the mode. Combined with our scouting system, you have full control to build the best organization in the NHL. 6 attribute grades that each have their own impact to your team's success. Coaches have an impact on results, player and coach development, and line chemistry. Each coach has a unique style and scheme that you'll need to watch out for when hiring a coach. Then obviously we have the line chemistry that's coming back. I like that right there. See, a line that has 2 or more players with complementing X factors will receive a significant boost to chemistry. I like that quite a bit. Scouting, of course. And the great fog of war. Did not know about that. Fog of war, mass a player's rating attributes And other information, you no longer have accurate information at all times. You will need to assign scouts to evaluate players and teams throughout the season to maintain the most up-to-date information. It affects trading, contract negotiations, and evaluating your players. You will now know what it takes to be a real GM in the NHL. One of my favorite features about this franchise. First line, we have Tage. Hey, look at Tage. He's got some good stuff. Isn't that cool? Coach satisfaction very high. I bet it is. Look at that. Puck on a string. Exceptional toe drag, stick handling speed, superstar ability. So we have an X Factor. We did not have that last year, so it's kind of nice. You can see one-timers. Like, obviously, he's going to score quite a bit, I'd imagine. So we'll try to keep him happy. The only other offensive player, Skinner. Superstar abilities, no X Factor, but some superstar abilities. Yeah, Tage was really good last year. Came out of nowhere. I like this team, though, because you have Tage, obviously the front and center, our guy. You've got Alex, scored a lot of goals for me on last year's game. We didn't play deep into the season, but he was very productive for me. Skinner better be with how much he gets paid. It's a whole nother conversation, though. I'm cool with the first line. Second line, Dylan. Young Jack. Young. Olofsson. Not as young, but I like this. Two young kids on this line, so you keep an eye on those two. Casey, I feel like we have a love-hate relationship. Kyle on the third line, he's been productive for me in the past. I think the last time I won a Stanley Cup, he was very productive and helpful in that. Had a huge playoff run. JJ, a lot of young players. Like, I'm almost tempted to put him, swap him and Olofsson just because I keep all the young guys on one. But I mean, Casey's young too. Oh, we'll see. And then the fourth line, Greenway, Tyson, Gergensons. Big fan of Mr. Gergensons. All right, thank you. Defensively, Darlene and Eric Johnson on the first line, Yvette, Clifton, Power, line number 2, Samuelson, great name, and Yokiharu, 1, 2, 3. Hopefully those guys have good seasons for us. At least something I can be happy with now. I have goaltending that I'm at least invested in. Been waiting for this kid to get some time. Now that he's here, we're just going to roll with him. Got a vet behind him, but obviously he's going to be the guy that we build around. It's kind of weird, but NHL, I feel like the computer tends to they don't have as many shots, but they get a lot of goals, so that save percentage looks odd, I guess would be the best way of putting it. Obviously, the Sabres aren't exactly defensive, stalwarts either, so that is going to be a problem, but typically happy with that. Like this guy. Someone that I'm personally a little high on. Good thing for us is this is a young team, so we're gonna be building. We're gonna be giving these guys a lot of play time, which I like. It can only do good for us. Can't do anything bad. Players should only be getting better. That's the way I look at it. Swapping back to the majors. The only thing that is depressing, though, is this. My biggest gripe always when I talk about NHL is the fact that I can't look at the other team's schedule and I can't look at other team's box scores. All I can see are the stats. I will continue to be negative about that because I think that's quite ridiculous with all the tech that we have that's a thing, but whatever. October. Oh, great. Tampa early on. the Avs early on. Oh, we'll definitely get a test here. The Rangers with Mr. Kane in the first game. The Islanders twice. Devils. Maple Leafs. And the East is it's gonna be so tough. Boston. Ugh. Ugh. Chicago. Yay. December, our first time playing Detroit. I hopefully will get to attend this game. I'm sure work will be really busy around this time of year, or that time of year, but hope to attend that. Vegas, can't go to that one, but still, always get to watch. The first half of the season is kind of tough. I mean, the second half's going to be tough too, but then you got the West Coast trip there. Chicago, San Jose, like that probably is our easiest stretch. This will be interesting, tough. Dallas, Anaheim again, Florida, Tampa. Every time I see Tampa, I'm going to cringe. I feel like I have to be on my best to keep from getting blown out. Dallas, Tampa. So if I have to win games down the stretch, it's tough. Detroit, young, might be fighting with them for a playoff spot. Washington could be the same with them. Florida and Tampa. If it comes down to the last game, oof. Yep, I'm a big Sabres fan. They are my team. I suffered with them for a long time, and we will just continue to do that. Alright, scouts. Let's start with the simple stuff. Looking at the regions, we'll sort by that. Make it easy. So for the divisions, scout players. Entire division, pending free agents. 3 weeks. Look at those guys, because that could be potential trade options. Normally I don't make trades. I feel like in hockey I'd be more proactive in making trades than I would in other leagues. At least I could say I've made trades in hockey in season 1 more often than I have in other sports. And the same with the Atlantic. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing here. Pending free agents. Keeping it simple. And it's the beginning of the season, and for that reason I won't be looking at individual players when it comes to scouting just yet. So with the other scouts, we're going to be looking at other stuff. We're going to find some prospects. Start with skaters. We'll do 2 weeks. As I say that, we'll look at what we kind of have later on, but not this stream, as I did it again. Well, I need to pay attention. Alright, so for the leagues, we'll look for skaters. Russia. Look for defenseman. And for the U.S., we'll start our look. Well, we'll do defenseman too. We'll get to goaltending later. Oh, this will give me 2 weeks before I have to change this. We'll see what we find. And then we'll do something else with the scouts for the minors and the pros. But everyone is assigned something. That's the goal.